let's move to the actual agenda topic for this evening. We're going to start with one Hillary Clinton, former First Lady, former U.S. Senator from New York. She parachuted into New York after her husband's presidential term ended and ran for the Senate and won, and then was reelected in 2006. Twice the presidential candidate, including the Democratic nominee for president in 2016, the Secretary of State under Barack Obama. She's been around forever, feeding on the DC tro. And she has become such a caricature of what the DC swamp is and the utter lack of difference between the two political parties. She was once caricatured as some far left Democrat. Hillary Clinton fits right in with Fox News and Liz Cheney. I mean, that's her comfort zone. And she went to a event. Let's put that up on the screen where we have some information about the event. It was a pro-Israel event sponsored by Sheldon Adelson. And you can see a bunch of tiny little faces that nobody can recognize with print. But the first one, the most important one, is Mary Middleton and her $125 billion. And John Fetterman was there. And Hillary Clinton, there you see Hillary Clinton is the fourth person on the left. Basically, just a bunch of people. I think Elise Stefanik went. Basically a bunch of people who just go to whatever pro-Israel conference they're told to go to. And as long as Mary Middleton is there spreading around the money, they're all happy to go there. So Hillary decided that she was going to explain to her pro-Israel paymasters, including Mary Middleton, why it is that Americans have turned against the U.S.-Israeli relationship, why particularly young Americans are horrified by Israel, don't want the U.S. financing Israel anymore. And as I said at the stop, when it's Hillary Clinton, it's never because people in good faith disagree with her. There always has to be some reason why these people are stupid and deplorable. Why, unlike her, they're too weak and too dumb and therefore easily manipulated to believe what they believe, which is different than what she believes. She's so fanatically pro-Israel, and so she's trying to explain why do Americans, especially young Americans, see the world differently than she sees it? Why aren't they as pro-Israel as she is? And here was her explanation.
That our students, smart, well-educated young people from our own country, from around the world, where were they getting their information? They were getting their information from social media, particularly TikTok. That is where they were learning about what happened on October 7th, what happened in the days, weeks, and months to follow. That's a serious problem. It's a serious problem for democracy, whether it's Israel or the United States, and it's a serious problem for our young people. And it was frankly shocking to me how little the students we were encountering, not only in this class we teach, which is a very large class, international relations about crisis decision-making, but students more generally. And that's why I mentioned the social media piece of it, because when you would try to talk to them to engage in some kind of reasonable discussion, it was very difficult because they did not know history, they had very little context, and what they were being told on social media was not just one-sided, it was pure propaganda. And so when you think about how to tell Israel's story, and it's important, it's not just looking internally, it's looking externally, and particularly looking at young people, because, it's not just the usual suspects. It is a lot of young Jewish Americans who don't know the history and don't understand. I was talking to Condi Rice, and, she said in an interview that I did after the 20-point plan came out, she and I were on CBS, and she said, when people were chanting from the river to the sea, she would ask the students, what river, what sea? They didn't know. I had the same experience. A lot of the challenge is with younger people. More than 50% of young people in America get their news from social media. So just pause on that for a second. They are seeing short-form videos, some of them totally made up, some of them not at all representing what they claim to be showing. And that's where they get their information.
I'm really sorry to have subjected you to 3 minutes of her doing all that. Before we delve into all the reasons why she's so grotesque and repulsive, there was a comment, I think, by Sunrise Star in the chat, which, as I said, I'm monitoring carefully, and you're all being evaluated. And notes will be put on your permanent record about your conduct tonight, that Hillary's hair looks really pretty. And I think it's important to recognize, yes, Hillary's hair looks very pretty. All right, now, let's just break down a little bit of what she said there. She's so unbelievably condescending and like rotted inside. She said that the reason young Americans have turned against Israel is not because they watched every day as Israel blew up Palestinian babies and incinerated them in tents and starved them to death and denied them anesthesia and antibiotics so that they had to subject themselves to surgeries without basic painkillers. No, it had nothing to do with that. Nor was it about the fact that they realized that the United States pays for Israel to go blow up babies every day. No, it had nothing to do with that either. It's that these young Americans are very stupid, very stupid. They don't know anything. They're morons. Like the deplorables who didn't vote for her because they're really stupid too in 2016. These are idiots, she said. And the reason they were so easily deceived, why their ignorance was so easily exploited, was because TikTok manipulated them into thinking Israel was bad. And we've shown you so many times before, remember, this was a bipartisan drive to ban TikTok. When it was just about China, it got nowhere near the votes needed. Only once after October 7th, when Democrats like Hillary Clinton started believing that TikTok was allowing Palestinians to speak too freely, Palestinian advocates to speak too freely, Israel critics to speak too freely, when there were too many videos going around of what Israel was actually doing in Gaza, which 10 years ago you could have stopped. You just banned media like Israel did, and there was no TikTok to show anybody, or you just eliminate free speech on the internet and prevent it from going around. She was like, they saw too much, and they're idiots. They don't even know which river and sea they mean. These are morons. These are imbeciles who disagree with me. This was the reason TikTok was banned and or forced to be sold to someone like Larry Ellison, the single largest donor to Friends of the IDF in history. It's because they became convinced that TikTok was allowing too much criticism of Israel, was showing too many of the realities of what Israel was doing. And that's why they banned it or forced the sale. And it's completely bipartisan.
Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.